Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, start of a new week in January. I feel really good this week and really optimistic, and I think it might be because we're over the hump. We're over halfway through January, which feels like an accomplishment to me because it's always a rough month, and especially this year, I think it's been a little rough for everybody. But I am here to talk to you today about the scale and weighing yourself. That's the subject all this week in the Food and Body Love membership, so it's on my mind a whole lot right now. Hi to whoever's watching. I can't see the names right now, but leave a heart and a comment if you have a second, so I know you're here. Here are two things. I know that giving up the idea of weighing yourself is really hard because there's so many reasons we do it, right? Like we feel like it keeps us under control and it keeps us in check, and we can make sure we're not like spiraling out of, gonna weigh 1,000,000 pounds and be miserable for the rest of our lives. But I also think it really can undermine your progress if your goal is to improve your health, to have peace around food, to feel better about yourself. I think stepping on the scale really can derail you from that process. So I wanted to give you two hints. I know it's hard to just stop. I was in that place for a long time myself, so I totally understand that, but I wanted to give you two things to think about when you do step on the scale to help you kind of tune in with what the process looks like for you and why you're doing it. The first thing is, how does it make you feel? How do you feel before you weigh yourself versus how you feel after you weigh yourself, regardless of what the number was, regardless of what the outcome was? Did it improve your energy? Did it improve your self-esteem? Did it improve anything about the way that you feel physically or mentally? That's the first thing to think about. The second thing is it accomplishing the goal that you have? Is it fulfilling the need that it's supposed to? Why are you doing it? If you think about your motivation for stepping on the scale, what is it going to tell me? What information am I going to gain from this that might be useful to me? How do I want it to make me feel? What am I looking for from this process? And is it doing that for me? Is it doing the thing that I want it to do for me? And I think when you can really tune into that and just kind of get curious about it without judging yourself. I know, we love to beat ourselves up, but if you can just get curious about your motivation for stepping on the scale and how it makes you feel afterward, you might be able to tune in with a different way of interacting with your weight and with your body. I think the second part of this is I really feel like weighing yourself derails you from what your goals actually are. And the reason for that is, first of all, we all know that our weight can fluctuate for so many different reasons, right? Like water weight and muscle mass and all of these other things factor into what the number on the scale is, right? And it ends up being like rather meaningless. If your goal is to be healthy, then you should focus on health-related behaviors, and weight is not a behavior. I love to remind everyone of that. Health is determined by behaviors, and weight is not a behavior. So if you want to improve your health, the best way to do that is to really tune in with your body, figure out what it needs, what it's telling you, and then do things to improve the way that you feel, which might be like drinking more water, getting more rest, adding more fruits and vegetables into your diet, moving your body in a way that feels appropriate for you. Those kinds of things actually improve health. Losing weight really doesn't. And when you celebrate weight loss, you might actually be celebrating things that aren't good, that aren't healthy, like dehydration, loss of muscle mass, or actual illness, which is it's just the paradigm is so messed up. We're told from so many sources that weighing yourself is important and that losing weight is good and that being lighter is better. And just for so many reasons, that's not accurate. And it really can shift the whole paradigm when you start to understand why it's not necessarily very helpful to be smaller, and losing weight might not necessarily be a good thing. And actually weight cycling, which is, people who weigh themselves tend to be dieters and weight cyclers. So, you're used to your weight fluctuating a lot, is very, very hard on your cardiovascular system. It's not good for you to do that. Studies show that it's much healthier to stay at a stable weight rather than to lose weight and gain it back and lose weight and gain it back and lose weight and gain it back. So once again, dieting is not a neutral event, and I really feel like weighing yourself can kind of disconnect you from your body and disconnect you from what your real goals are, which are probably to feel better about yourself and to be healthier. It's possible and necessary to do all of those things without having so much investment with that number on the scale. Because I'll tell you the story of what happened the last time I weighed myself. I had done a lot of work in terms of tuning in with my body and really recognizing my needs without focusing on weight. And I had stopped weighing myself, although I did still have a scale in the house because my husband still wanted to weigh himself for whatever reason. And I also quit drinking for 3 years. At that time, I just had a lot of crap going on in my life, and I felt like my relationship with alcohol was getting uncomfortable. And I just made a choice to quit drinking for a while so that I could kind of, reevaluate and get back onto a level playing field. And when I quit drinking, I had this very clear thought, oh, I bet now I'll lose weight. And I had worked so hard not to be in that headspace about weight anymore, but it was, I fell back into an old habit, an old pattern, and I stepped on the scale, and I was like really anticipating some dramatic thing that would make me feel fantastic, and a number that would be motivating to me. And I honestly don't even remember what the outcome was. I think I had like maybe lost a little bit of weight, but it wasn't as much as I thought I should have or could have. And I remember just having this enormous epiphany, and it was almost like being hit by a bus. It was like I just understood so clearly in that moment that no matter what that scale said, I would not have been happy. If it had been a bigger loss, I would have freaked out and started to like spiral down back into that old diet mentality of how can I maintain this? How can I lose more weight? How can I do even better? And if it had been a higher number, if I had gained weight, that would have, of course, been devastating to me. And I would have felt like I was going in the wrong direction, and I would hate my body. And it was just so crystal clear to me in that moment that it completely derailed me. I felt suddenly all these conflicting emotions. I felt this wave of, just dissatisfaction or disappointment with myself and with the whole thing, because I knew that no outcome would have been satisfying to me. Nothing that happened on that scale would have made me feel better. And I could see clearly now that was true for my whole life. Like, no matter what the scale said, it always either made me more anxious or made me hate myself more. Those were the two outcomes. And it's very liberating to not have to think about that anymore. It's very liberating to be totally focused on myself and my body and really tuned in with how I feel every day. And if I'm out of balance in some way, I know that. I don't need a scale to tell me that, right? Like, I know if I'm eating too much of a certain kind of food that's not making me feel great, or not getting enough of something else that I really need, my body's telling me that in a million different ways. And I don't need the number on the scale, which doesn't even reflect that anyway, to tell me anything. Because I know what my body needs, and I know how I want to feel every day, and I know what I need to do to make that happen. And also, just as an aside, my weight is quite stable now. I mean, I don't weigh myself, and I never will again, but I can tell by the way my clothes fit and the way my body looks that it's not fluctuating like everybody is so nervous that it's going to. And I think the scale feels kind of like a safety net, you think, well, as long as I know what's happening every day, then I know I'm not going to get totally out of control. But it really doesn't serve that purpose for most people. It really just makes things worse and makes you feel worse about yourself and undermines your self-esteem. So I hope that if you still have a relationship with the scale, you can start to tune in kind of more with what it's doing for you and how it's making you feel every time you step on it, and maybe start to just disconnect from that a little bit. Maybe skip a day every once in a while, or maybe do it every other day, and just notice how you can still take care of yourself, maybe even more effectively, without needing to know what that number is, which is actually just the pull of gravity on your body. And it's not that helpful in the grand scheme of things. Also, a quick note just to end, if you don't want to be weighed, you can refuse to be weighed at the doctor's office, and they can't force you to be weighed. So I know it can be a little bit uncomfortable to say that, but I've done it a million times now, and the vast majority of the time, I just say I prefer not to be weighed, and they go, okay. And a couple of times when I've had a nurse go, what? And question me a little bit, I just say, no thanks. And they usually let it go. One time I had a doctor pressure me like pretty hard to get weighed for some like reason that she thought was important. And I said, I'm in recovery for an eating disorder and I cannot be weighed. And that always shuts it down. Like, and then there's no more questions. Like, oh, okay, no problem, no problem. So just reconsider your relationship with the scale. See if it's really working for you, and hopefully tune in with your body more. Take care of yourself on a different level that's not so connected with weight necessarily, because it's not that important of a measurement. Thank you for watching. If you are here, please leave a like or comment, and I will see you the next time. Thanks so much. Bye.